I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello and welcome to AfterBuzz TV, home of the official after show for the Netflix original series, Sweet Magnolias. We have made it to the end, y'all. This is the finale. Season 1, Episode 10, Storms and Rainbows, which it was indeed. So we're going to dive all the way into this episode. I'm your host, Jamie Alexander, and of course, I'm accompanied by my incredible panel of hosts, Tammy, Bryant, and Kelsey. Hello, hello. And we have got Maddie Townsend, JoAnna, Garcia, Swisher back in the building because we had to bring her back in to discuss this incredible finale. So how is everyone doing this morning?
Good.
Traumatized.
I know, I'm well from that.
Oh my God. So, for this, I intentionally skip direct topics because there's so much. There is so much in here. You guys really outdid yourself and threw us for so many loops. It's like, whoa. So first of all, this was the perfect setup for season 2. We have to have it. Like, we have to have season 2. Have to.
I feel like it's a must, right?
Absolutely.
It is a must. So why don't we just have fun here and talk about everything that happened? I think Storms and Rainbows was the absolute perfect title because there was some really beautiful and sweet and awesome, cool things in here. But then there were also some things where it was like, oh my God, take it away. Fix it, Jesus. So, fix it, Jesus. So let's kind of start with, I don't know, maybe Kelsey, you can speak to this just because it was the top of the episode. I was really impressed with CeCe. It was very interesting, but what did you think about the whole prom proposal?
The one thing I do have to say is I thought it was kind of cool how they had the girl ask the guy. It's like we're so used to seeing the guy has to ask the girl and it has to be this whole grand gesture. And I was like, no, girl, if you want it, go get what you want. So honestly, I kind of liked that. I was like, Brian, I know how you feel about the two of them, and I don't disagree, but I kind of liked that. I thought that was a cool little moment.
Yeah, she's definitely goes for what she wants, doesn't she?
She does. She does. Gotta respect it.
Yeah, I don't think it was terrible. I feel like I remember in high school, us girls, we were more like that. We were more inclined to show up and do cute things. I think it's like when we get older where we get all a little bit rigid about what men should be doing and what women should be doing. So I really respected it too. I thought it was fun and cute. And I think guys like that. So
yeah, because I mean, he didn't even skip a beat really. He had just said he wasn't gonna go to prom, and then he was like, oh yeah, okay. I was like, oh, all right. Okay. She didn't have to fight too hard.
Obviously, I was not a fan. Did appreciate the sentiment because I thought it was cute. And like you said, going for what she wants. I'm still here for Ty and Annie. I'm going to say it so the bitter end.
Yeah,
I love it so much. And obviously, just Annie's little like the moment she was just like, I was like, girl, I'm right there with you. So I was like feeling so bad for her, but I do love how she got her own little moment in the end. So
yes, she did. She definitely did. I laughed a lot through that whole when we were shooting that. I just thought this is such a triangle. Like it's so intense.
Yes.
And then there's some realization there with Ty that I think Carson played so subtly, just trying to figure it out and knowing how complicated it is with his brother, because I think he has that kind of realization too. But I'm excited to see where that goes. Like,
me too.
What happened? But CeCe's a little minx. Like, I would be wigging out if my son.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, she's a little. Ooh. I'm like, girl, you're a senior in high school.
Yeah, she's like sexier than me. So it's like, how did that happen?
Times 1,000 me.
Yeah.
It's funny though. I love the way Carson really takes, ownership of this role of Ty, because I'm with you, Bryant. Like, I think CeCe is amazing and I like what she's doing and how she's showing up, but you can't help but see the Ty and Annie thing, because I think that maybe too, when we get older as women, we don't pursue men so much because men are the pursuers. And she kind of had him backed into a corner with that. It's like, with all of this going on, how do I say no, even though I really want to? Because now she's made a spectacle and I'll look like the jerk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ty's got a lot on his plate. I don't feel like he's girl crazy or, you know, anything like that. I just think it's an interesting thing where he's like, yeah, I mean, I guess, well, I mean, yeah, she's nice. She's here. Like, it's like
Why
that.
not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I think he's like focused on his sport and, you know, the fact that he's kind of having like a massive life crisis. So I thought there's definitely some layers there. Who do you guys think is in the car? Can we talk about it?
Oh my gosh. Yes. You know what? I would love to like popcorn this conversation. We might as well, but
Might as well.
I don't know. So Kelsey, do you have some, I feel like, first of all, I was surprised that it was Kyle.
I
that
thought it was
already
Kyle.
threw me
I
off.
thought it was Kyle.
You did?
Yeah.
That
I
didn't
did too.
surprise me.
Yes.
It didn't
Who did you
surprise me.
think was-
I honestly think it might be Annie, which scares me a little bit. Like she got in there with him, like kind of ran after. I don't think it's Ty and Kyle. I don't think that they would do that to Maddie. I'm like, that's a lot to unload and unpack.
You know, maybe who it could be would be Nellie, which is
Yeah,
weird.
could it be Nellie?
I thought
But
about that
maybe
too.
it would paint the picture of Maddie and Mary Vaughn coming together. So that could be a thing with possibly Nellie. You know, I'm not a big Mary Vaughn fan either, but of course I would.
I mean, how can we be?
Yeah.
But that's who I was thinking. It was Kyle and Nellie.
Okay.
That was so powerful. The way everyone showed up, the way all of the phone calls went, it really added a completely different dynamic to the show. Because all of a sudden I felt like I was watching a completely different genre of show. And it started to get real, like mysterious and dramatic, and who, you know, it was really
Joe, do you have a guess? I know.
I too feel like it would be very cruel if I lost 2 of my kids, or, you know, there's another one of my kids in there. I don't know if I would put it past them, but
I know.
I definitely think there's a chance that it's Nellie. I definitely think there's a chance that it's Nellie. And Annie would be my other best guess. But I don't know. I really don't. And you know, it's funny. I've begged Cheryl to tell us, and she said, I'm not even telling Netflix until we get a season 2.
Oh my gosh, that's so smart. Well played, Cheryl. Well played.
Like, bravo. I'm sure Netflix knows by now. But yeah, it's good. You know, I think that like what I loved about the last episode was that not just, you know, inevitably you have to kind of button things up. And I loved that there was a cliffhanger, and I thought that was really interesting, but it just sort of opened up to me the onion for a lot of different relationship dynamics and how they were going to play out, and even seeing, and that's, you know, the one thing I always said about it's not easy for Bill, like the Chris Klein, to play that character because he's such a nice guy, but you see that there is like this journey, and it's not a redemption. It's just like he is actually on, like, he's learning, he's experiencing life, he's made some mistakes, and not that I think that Maddie will easily forgive him for that. And I think that the heavier sort of moments in that episode where they are kind of working as a team together, I think it's going to remind them that they had a moment in life like that. But sometimes you can't undo certain things, but it did give him that place to go and that place to land in the end, where it's like, what's going to happen here? And having Ronnie come back, like there's just,
I know.
There was so much going on. And I'm glad you brought that up, JoAnna. Like, so especially with Bill, because he really softened me up for him in this episode. Tammy, what did you think about Bill's new face that he kind of showed?
I have no patience for him.
Okay.
I have no patience for him. He's alone, and now he wants to make things better with Maddie. I have no patience for Ronnie, who now wants to get back in, you know, to Dana's. Like, all these men are running back to their home.
Yeah.
These women are their homes, and I get it, but yeah, no.
Sometimes it's too little too late.
Oh, my living word.
Tammy,
Yeah.
I need to call
Little.
you when I get into these pickles because I was like, oh my God, Bill.
Right. I was
I know.
considering it too.
I know.
But so I think there's something, and I've said this a lot about the show, is that why I think it resonates and why people feel triggered by things. And so for me, I'm like, honey, you done made your bed. So that's the way it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
But I have tendency to like kind of, be like that a little bit. But then there's like an opportunity for every character to kind of learn from why. I mean, it's not always everybody else's fault and just their fault. So it's like, I think even for
True.
Maddie, one thing that I thought a lot about is like, for her journey and realization having nothing to do with Bill or their relationship or getting back together or anything like that, but like an opportunity, because for her, it's about so much growth and it's about being, humbled and surviving and all of these things that you like feel for Maddie instantly. But what I really enjoyed kind of talking about with Cheryl and like layering things in, and really even with dynamics with my mother and other characters, is what part did I play, and even just allowing myself to be in a relationship for as long as I did that looked like that. It didn't excuse Bill's behavior. There's no version that's coming back for her, and at least in my mind right now. But
Yeah.
it's like, okay, but what happened really between Dana Sue and Ronnie? Like, what was it? And there is that
Right.
kind of like, where can we kind of learn and grow from it? I agree though. That's a tough one. Also, too, like, where has he been? He's been gone for 10
Yeah,
episodes.
wait, what?
Come back in with your six pack.
I was like,
Yeah.
Cheryl, why are we only meeting him in episode 10? We needed to meet him since episode 1, Cheryl.
I know.
Just a sprinkle.
I
Just a
really think
sprinkle.
if there's a season 2, you're going to get to know him a lot more. We've done a couple shows together. We are old friends. I mean, he was one of my first friends. Brandon was in Los Angeles. So just to be
Beautiful. We
reunited
love him.
twice.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
That's
and
really cool.
I think him
Yeah.
and Dana Sue have like some great, him and Brooke, they have really great chemistry. So I think
Yes.
you guys, Dana Sue really got it going on, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
Jeremy
So
and
beautiful.
Ronnie. I'm like, come on,
Dana,
girl.
that farmer. I'm like, okay.
I know. I'm like, get it, girl. I respect it.
Yeah, and she was so beautiful and vibrant and flirtatious. And
glowing.
she's such a beautiful, glowing. She's such a beautiful woman, but just to play those flavors of things, like, I totally get it. These guys are like, ooh, she's something special.
We were laughing like at the beginning of all of this when it was like, okay, Maddie's got Cal and Ryan's coming back in for Helen. And then of course, you know how I just love Eric.
So do we.
Dana Sue's like going through a health crisis and having issues with her daughter. And Cheryl's like, honey, I got something headed your way. And she's like, you get one. You get like 3. And I was like,
Cream of the crop.
Yes.
When you say that, it reminds me of how God works. And I mean, I guess Cheryl was like the God of this, the orchestrator of the production and creation. She's like, I know it's been hard, my child, but I've got something for you.
Patience.
Just drop it.
it will
the
pay
new
off.
little.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
I
It definitely does.
Yeah, no, I love how you talked about how things are resonating with the audience, because I'm going to tell you something very transparent. I cried for Helen. Like, I didn't even know it was going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sitting here just in my bed, trying to be cute, doing my work, watching the show. And I just found myself, I couldn't help it. And
Me too.
it was, so we'll talk about the breakup and everything. But for me, it was that moment. Again, Eric has this way, boy, I tell you, for him to come in and bring her a snack. I know the power of a snack. Okay.
Oh my God.
I know.
To just honor that and to see her and to just say, you show up for everyone else. Let me show up for you. I was on the floor. I had to pause it. I had to blow my nose. I'm like, oh my God.
And when she's kind of like scared and she's like, no, I'm trying to be
Because
strong. And he's like, it's okay.
Because that's how it feels.
That got me. Cause same. Yeah. It's like, no, we're strong. And then it's just like, oh,
She needs it. There was a few moments in that. I mean, you guys, Helen is like my dream. Like, I love that character so much. And the moment that broke my heart the most, it was such a subtle thing that Heather did. But when they're sitting there making those smoothies and they're talking about it, and they said something about having a kid, I don't remember the lines because I obviously wasn't in the scene. I can barely remember my lines. but like she was like laughing about it, and it was like this look to him where it was like this realization of like, wait, but we're years later now, like,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and she realized in that moment it was not where she like. I don't even think she even thought of that it would have been a conversation or a thought or anything, and it
you
like
can tell
that.
she didn't.
I know.
Yeah,
I think that was the
Honestly, like,
last
I'm tearing
episode.
up just talking about it. I was just like, oh my god,
Mhm.
she
It's
was
just
so taken off guard in that moment that it
And
just.
it's just like she's so trusting, and she's not always that like giving of herself. So when she was so trusting and giving to him, and not even, she was like, "Wait, what?" Yes.
Yeah. Have you guys
Yeah.
ever like known anybody or been in a relationship where you guys like just like you think you're gonna be on the same page at some point?
1000%. 1000%.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so surreal where you're just like, it's so, one of my dearest friends just went through this, was with this amazing person, and they were amazing together, but ultimately at the end of the day, she did not want to have children and he did. And they were together for 7 years. And she's like, I wish someone cheated on him, on each other. I wish like there was some bad thing, but it was like, we grew up, we got to that place where that was where we were in our lives. And no one was dishonest the whole time, but it was like this sad, it was such a sad breakup that it was so hard for both of them. And I'm like, that's what it is. Cause you see, there's so much there. There's like a lot of admiration. There's tons of chemistry. There's history. There's so much there, but it's just, they don't want the same thing.
Yeah.
I
There's
mean,
always
it's
that
very well
one
said.
thing. I was going to say, there's always that one thing in a relationship that is the make or break. There's always one thing, whether it's children or whatever. And when Ryan came back into the picture, I was like, and I said this over and over again, he's going to hurt her. He's going to hurt her. He's a great guy, but he's going to hurt her. I don't know how.
I did too.
I just felt it.
Yeah,
I just knew it was going to happen. And I couldn't, I mean, the relationship was so beautiful. And I'm thinking, but something's going to happen. What could it possibly be? Because they're amazing together.
Yeah.
And I so
Cheryl
did not
Anderson,
see that coming. I didn't see that coming.
She played me for a fool because I was the only one in the world on Team Ryan for the last 5 episodes, and then in the end of episode 9 when he was just like, like he just, and I think what hit me more, like you said, Joe, was just the way he shut her down.
Like it was
just, like she was so like all the way up here, and then he was just like, no, hell no. And then again in this episode where like, you know, he goes into like for the kiss goodbye or like to hug her goodbye, and she just like looks the other way. I was like, oh my goodness. So I lost it. Like since episode 9, I was like, goodbye, Ryan.
Bye, Ryan.
And then really, I was so on Team Eric. And then of course, you know, like you said, Jamie, when he brought that ice cream, everything, like, I told Cheryl, I was just like, I'm just Team Helen. Like I'm Team Helen above everybody else. Like love the man, but she is just so strong, so amazing. Hold it together, and for her in this episode to be so broken up about it, it was so hard to watch, and I just felt for her so much.
And can I just say that Helen and I said the line at the exact same time when he's leaving, and he says, "Why is this hurt so much?" Helen and I both said, because this is the last time.
Yes. Tammy's like, done.
It, by the way, always has a way with her words, that Helen doesn't she?
I just wanted to go over and have margs with her at 7 a.m. I was like, I'm here, bring the rum, put it in the smoothie.
For sure, 100%. So what did you guys, I'm like dying to hear what you guys think about everything, but what did you guys think of Isaac? Like, do you guys think that we know who the parents are?
That was crazy.
So we were just having this conversation earlier before everyone joined. So Dana Sue and Ronnie went to high school together, but then she left Serenity for a little while, lived it up, and then came back to Serenity. And that's when they started dating, correct?
Ryan Wingate?
Ronnie.
Oh,
Dana
no.
Sue.
Got it. Okay. Okay. No, so Helen Helen was the one who left Serenity for a good bit of time.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't remember Dana Sue
What is that
leaving.
conversation that Isaac and Annie
She
had in the
might have.
kitchen?
He might.
I think for something to that effect, I do see what you're saying.
For
Tammy,
a
'cause
little bit.
Yeah, there was something along the lines of like she wasn't living there for the whole time, or maybe
Yeah.
it wasn't they weren't living there. I think they did rekindle after a while. Like I think somebody said something along the lines of like, weren't you and Ronnie together since the beginning? And then she's like, no, we got together after.
Yeah.
Maybe it was, yeah.
Because
So it something
Isaac
along
was
those lines.
asking Annie all of these questions, like, so, have your mom and dad, always been together? Like, no, they went to high school and then she
Yeah,
left. And then when she came back, they started seeing each other.
Mhm.
And it's like,
do you guys think Dana Sue's his mom?
That
I
know. I mean, I at first was like, wait, what? But then the way that she was so receptive of it, and maybe she was just being a kind person because she is a kind person, but I was like, oh shit, maybe. Maybe.
And he said to her, he goes, I'm not here to cause you any trouble,
Right.
or any upheaval, which means there was some kind of conversation that we weren't privy to as an audience.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or just
Yeah.
to the fear, because last time he
Joe, do
spoke
you
up
know?
and said
Do you
something.
know more than we know?
I know nothing.
Oh,
It's funny though.
man.
I actually didn't. I don't think she is because of her reaction. Like I feel like if she really was, she would have wigged the hell out. She would have been like, oh no. Like she would have like lost it. But because she was
point.
just so like, okay, I understand. Like let's bring it down a little bit, or like she was just trying to be there with him and be there for him. I feel like she was just trying to understand the situation. So I don't think that she was because of that. Like I feel like if she really was, she would have known it and it would have clicked and she would have just freaked out.
But then is Micah the father?
Well, I think that's kind of what they left us wondering. And I think
Mhm.
Isaac's hesitation was also because the last time he spoke up and asked questions, he was pinned up against the wall. So I think there was definitely a little bit of hesitation in him wanting to, confront the situation. But to me, I'm leaving it as a question in the air because you never know. Because I feel like with Dana Sue being confronted, even though she's a mother and she's sensitive and she's a woman, I also feel like she's a little bit calculated and very strong. So if she is going to respond, I think she's going to do it with a kind of care that she maybe has thought about already, as opposed to just being like, oh my God, you found out. I think she would definitely just be like, I hear what you're saying. I'm so glad you feel comfortable here. Let's go talk. And then kind of maybe try to unfold. So
because the
I think it's
repercussions are huge.
possible. Because the second that what's his name, Micah walked in, Isaac was like, Daddy.
Oh yeah.
Like
I said Daddy too.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
There were so many relational things here, that really stood out. And you were talking, JoAnna, something about, I forgot what dynamic it was, but it made me want to bring up the Ty and Maddie situation, because that definitely made me feel some type of way. Because I feel like because I don't have children, I still feel like the child. So I'm like, why Maddie got to rain on his parade? Ty's so excited. Like, even if you don't agree, give it a beat. Let the boy jump out of his skin. And then, so how did you feel? What did you think about that part in the role and how that played out? And how that communication went down between Ty and Maddie when he felt excited about possibly being recruited.
I think it's really, it was a moment to be very honest about the fact that, Maddie does not have all the answers. She's triggered just like everyone else. Look, she has, like I've said this, I think that at her core, she's a really wonderful person. But I think that when you can be in a marriage like she was for 20 years and just be so blindsided by what happened to her, she had to have been in denial or played a part in some way. And I think that part of the reason I grappled a lot with like how I felt in a moment where she's had this really great relationship with Cal, how she was so willing to like instantly just be like, get out.
I noticed that.
That lack of control really triggers her. And so I think that that's a probably like something that, she's not been confronted with having to own up to that a lot, except in like the last few, months of her life blowing up and kind of feeling out of control in a lot of ways. And I think that is, she has an idea of how everything needs to kind of be figured out and go down. And that was not that. And I think that like plays it safe always. And the idea, I understand that too as a parent. I remember when I said to my mom and dad, I was in college and I was 2 years into college and I was like, I want to go do this. Like, I want to be an actress and I want to try my hand at this in a real way, not just in a way that I'm like kind of traveling in and out and doing jobs like here and there. And my dad was like, oh God, this is like really nerve-wracking. It's hard for a parent to say, okay, you're double majoring in these two different things. And like, you're wanting to move all across the country and like be so far away from us in a tough business and all this kind of stuff. And he had to dig deep. And I've always thanked them so much because I was always like, thank you guys for like allowing me to do that. Because if I can't even imagine my kid being like, can I ride my bike down to my friend's house by myself? I'll be like, wait,
no. Who do you think you are?
No, that's just not happening.
Yeah, that's very beautifully said. It makes a lot of sense because, you get to see the point of parents. My parents were like that. And I kind of think because they were like that I would like to be different with my children and just maybe give them free reign to kind of blossom into who they are. Because like you said, with your parents, thank God they weren't so hard on you where they were like, no, you need to finish school. You need to do this. And because then that creates that guilt. And with Ty, you can see the built frustration where it feels like the entire world has been against the poor kid almost this whole season. So that blow up in all his colors, like I'm just so proud of Carson because he showed that very well.
Yeah. And you can see the burden of that responsibility. And I think that, on so many levels, he like to be that much. So, I'm married to a professional athlete, very successful one. And to know, there were expectations of him when you show that glimmer of not just like, even just getting a college scholarship is an extraordinary achievement. But my husband obviously showed that glimmer of something that, he could potentially be successful in like such a small fraction of, our society can do what he does. Like that looks effortless, but like, if you really think about what they do for a living, it's like kind of surreal. And Ty has that potential.
So what you were talking about, Jo, is the beauty of what Ty brought to, and his potential for the big leagues.
Yeah, so I think that responsibility weighs so heavily on him, especially being from a small Southern town. Like that's a very real thing. And so I think it's also why he's not like thinking about CeCe in that moment. And it's not like why I think it's like he's taking in so much and he's dealing with like this massive change in his life. He just played that to me so beautifully because you feel for him in a lot of ways. Like he's got a lot of expectations and he's also understands that, his relationship with Jackson, which I think he just shows who he is in so many different ways, how he takes care of Annie in really vulnerable moments and how he's respectful of CeCe at prom and how he allows for Jackson to have a moment that he normally wouldn't. And honestly, like, who wants to give Jackson anything?
Not me. Not this kid.
Talk about being triggered. I'm like,
for real.
Yeah, I would have. Go ahead, Kelsey.
I was just going to say, I kind of understood Maddie a little bit in that moment, though it was kind of like she seemed like she was kind of smashing Ty's happiness, a little bit. My mom was like the ultimate realist and would always tell me afterwards, I was just like, she did it because she didn't want me to get hurt further down the line, and so I understood that from Maddie being like a protective mom. She's like, I know how hard this can be and I don't want you to get your hopes up like this right from the beginning, not really having like anything to grasp onto. I mean, he was just talking to you, so I don't want you to get your hopes up like that and then get crushed further down the line. So I understood it.
But isn't that the thing? Like life crushes you anyway. Life is gonna happen anyway. You're gonna be disappointed, whether it's down the line or initially. So I think, what I'm hoping is that maybe for parents watching, that not to loosen the reins, because again, I don't have kids, so I don't want to be telling people how to raise their kids. I'm sure something else completely clicks, but at the same time, to your point, Kelsey, about being a realist, it's almost a double-edged sword, because it's like,
Oh,
well,
for
if you're
sure.
that real, then the crushing, the heartbreak, there's nothing you can do to keep
You
your
gotta
kids from
dream a
it.
little bit. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think too, there was a part, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think Maddie was the reason she was so hard on Ty, on top of everything else, was she was really mad at Cal.
Yeah.
So she already was
Yeah.
upset with Ty, but she was even more upset because she was really mad at Cal. So when there was that scene between her and Cal, the issue she had with him is, you don't make decisions for my kids or for me, which was the lesson she was coming out of with her marriage with Bill. He was always the one in control and always the one making decisions. And so she's just like projecting and just like,
And I think it took a lot for Maddie to get to that place to trust the relationship. And I mean, like, you know, she has all these expectations of what she wants out of her life and all of these things. And I think at the end of the day, she's wounded. She's really, she's kind of damaged in that way, and she doesn't trust any of it. And she allowed herself to take that leap of faith a little bit. And I think that she instantly felt betrayed by, I thought this guy was coming into town, just passing through town. It was a friend of yours and we were going to have dinner. And honestly, it was that, but it turned into something different. And it turned into, you know, her kid getting, you know, really excited. And I think that she knows that she's going to probably have to manage potentially a son that has a professional, like a career in professional athletics. Like, I think she understands his talent and wants to nurture that. But I think that it was really what she acted out on Ty because she was, you know, felt really caught off guard and betrayed by Cal, which wasn't the case, but she didn't give him much time to figure it out.
Yeah. What I would say too, first of all, when I found out Ty was getting recruited, I was like, I want to be a WAG, wives and girlfriends and sports stars.
Oh my God. Me too, Bryant. Me too.
I'll tell you.
I'm like, Joe, can you hook us up?
Yes, Joe.
Like in real life.
That's a whole nother after show.
Yes. I'm here for that.
What I thought was so interesting from Ty's perspective, I do see Maddie's side, but what I think Ty was looking for was that she didn't even acknowledge it, I think. Like if she would have at least said, oh my God, that's great, I'm so happy for you, but she didn't do that. She went straight into the but. So that's why he was so upset. Or this is what you're going to do. Yeah. Exactly. So that's why he was so upset. Like she didn't even share in his happiness in the moment and then brought it back. She just went for it. So that's why he was just like, I can't believe you're like doing this to me, you know? So I totally saw it. And then when he had that blowout with Cal as well, and he's like, what did he say? I can't trust any man in my mom's life. I was like, whoa, like, oh my goodness. So it definitely threw him for a loop.
Yeah. And I wonder, you know, even going down to the car and her not feeling comfortable with him driving, and then all of a sudden her worst nightmare was realized. Like the exact thing that
she's gonna blame
not
Bill.
Like you got a ticket or you got an offender bender, or like literally the car flipped.
And they had to like peel these kids out. When I was watching that scene, I was thinking, I'm sure it was in the script, but I would have had to be like, police, move, let me get to my baby. Like, the restraint, and you know, it was a beautiful restraint, especially because you had your friends there. I love how Dana Sue started praying. That's another instinct where I would have just pray. You got to pray, you know. So that was really a beautiful, serenity-filled moment as well.
Yes, opposite of all of my natural instincts. So I agree with you. When I played that scene, it was very difficult for me. I had to talk about it a lot because I was like, I literally would skin those police officers alive to stay away from my kid. But also, you know, in those moments, you are so blown away by what it's almost this utter shock. You know, just like not knowing what's going on and trying to process it. You just really don't know how you're going to react in that. So that's kind of how I rectified that idea.
So I had a question.
Oh, go ahead, Tim. No,
so there was a scene with Helen and who's the newspaper gal?
Peggy. Oh my God, Peggy. I literally said this, girl.
Yeah. It was a really amazing scene. You know, she's a little nosy and she wants the scoop. But Peggy says to her, serenity giveth and serenity taketh away. I was blown away by that. And Helen said, what do you mean? And she said, if we were friends, you would know what I mean. And then she left. But when, the car accident and, there's all these things that happened in this episode where, Serenity really does. And, there's so many meanings to that.
Yeah.
It's not just the town.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I also think that it's like, you saw a little bit of the dynamics with Mary Vaughn and it would be so easy to use that relationship. It was just an obvious sort of stereotypical like nemesis and busybody and the mayor's wife and all of that. But that's the opposite of, what, like there's much more to that story. And I think that it's a little nearsighted of the Magnolias to think that it just was because we foiled a birthday party, way back when, or a party that he had way back when, because we were doing a fundraiser. Like perhaps there's more to that story, which by the way, it's why I love this show so much, because there's no, I mean, sure, we have heroes and people that we love but it's real life and there's always more to the story and there's always two sides of it. And I think that we will dive into those relationships, those dynamics, and like the things that we might have missed being so kind of in our own Sweet Magnolia world. And, there's going to be some realizations there.
Yeah. And what I did like about that scene with Peggy and Helen, even though she did say like, well, if we were friends, blah, 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 it was that loving touch that really made room for the connection. Because that line could have been read many different ways. Like, well, if we would have been friends, it could have.
That's how I read it.
That's how I read it too. I was like,
I was about to slap her for Helen.
Me too.
Oh no, she leaned over and touched her hand, and I really feel like that was something that was implemented so we didn't miss that. Hey, maybe there is a sister bond there, because Helen had to stop and think about that. I think especially for that reason. So it was that little subtle nuance that for me changed the line from being catty to something. So I don't know how that's going to unfold.
At first, when she sat down and started talking about it, I was like, is she talking about Ryan? Like, did she and Ryan date? What's going on here?
I never even thought about that.
Yeah, that didn't cross my mind.
That's where my head went, because she was grilling her kind of on Ryan, and then she was like, you would have known if we were friends. I'm like,
well, Peggy went through some things and she talked about it in episode 3. Or no, she didn't really talk about it, but there was a moment where Dana Sue and Sullivan's was looking through a book and they were reminiscing about kind of like pageantry that they all used to do or something like that. And Peggy was kind of off in the background feeling some kind of way. So I hope we get more into her story for season 2. It would just be really interesting to see how she plays a part in this. Yeah.
I totally agree. I'm all for that.
Yes, I definitely love, just back to Bill really quick. It was nice to see him, since it's talking storms and rainbows, one of a real rainbow moment was how excited Kyle was to actually get tickets. Because first when Bill gave him the tickets to Hamilton, he's looking at tickets. That's all he heard. And he's like, I don't want these, but the play. And to just
do you know what these are? Are these for real?
To see his little heart light up and just to get some joy for him after everything he's been through, that was a really beautiful moment as well.
I agree. And I think it's like, look, Bill's limited. I don't think he's ever going to be the guy that you want Maddie to end up with, but at least not for now. But I think that he's doing the best. He's trying to grow. And I think that there's something that's an important element to kind of, not necessarily give him credit for, but just, observe.
Shoot him a point or two.
It's funny because I was we were talking about this before. I was wondering, I was like, when are we gonna get Bill's redemption? Like everyone keeps saying Bill's gonna redeem himself, and he finally did. And I think I just have poor taste in men, because I was actually here for him in this episode. I was like,
why don't we agree on everything?
What I loved the most about it, though, I just realized it now, is the fact that he asked Maddie first. Because he's been making these poor decisions throughout the season, not taking account anybody else's feelings, what anyone else thinks, until this last moment. He's like, I want to run this by you before I make the decision. So I love that, because I feel like he could have totally went the wrong way again and been like, Kyle, here's the ticket. And Maddie would have been like, what the hell? But the fact that he ran it by her first and he got her approval, it shows that he is growing and he's going to redeem himself. Hopefully redeem himself, because I don't know. I think I have bad taste in men because I want them back together now.
No, oh my God, no. Oh,
I know. Brian, I don't know why I'm right there with you. I'm like, I'm like,
so funny.
well, I'm so easily fooled. I'm like, oh, they'll do two nice things. And I'm like, okay, I'm in.
You're like,
See, I
you're
feel
so
like we're
right.
learning that in the episode. Like, I feel like as women or just not humans, we can get easily fooled. And I feel like that's kind of what happened with Helen. It's like,
100%.
I'm watching. Yeah, I don't want to be a rigid woman. I mean, I'm very loving, but I'm also very cautious. It's even in the Bible. Guard your heart with vigilance, because if you don't, you know, matters of the heart is where we flow from. And so we're seeing Maddie get these little touches of, Bill again, but it's also like we watch Helen get wrecked by Ryan again. It's just, it's scary.
It is. It's definitely scary. And I think that it's, you know, we are all optimistic, I think, in our hearts. Like at the end of the day, you want to like believe in the good. And I think that I don't know that Maddie and Bill are going to come back for a while.
I will
He needs to grow
say
still.
that scene
He
between
does.
him and Katie was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Like that had me crying. That was so beautiful. And that little actress who played
I
Katie,
know.
Bianca.
she's delicious.
So precious.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
So
She
like,
is so
pretty,
sweet.
Daddy.
It just like
the cutest.
Yeah, and that innocence and that you know, willingness to just keep an open heart, I think is a really important sort of element to all of it.
I also liked the Bill scene with the prom pictures, and it was like, you know, he wanted to ask to get in a picture and he refrained, and I was proud of him for doing that because Ty did not want that.
Yeah, and I think he was actually like listening and taking a page out of someone else's book rather than just his own. And I think it was, you know, he's humbled, that's for sure. Tammy's like, Bill, go back to your apartment.
But you know what I wrote down is men can smell when you're happy and moving on. And I just feel like there was so is all lightened up. Ronnie comes swooping in. I'm like, the second Dana Sue has been miserable. Like, she's been happy, but you know what I'm saying in the man department. Yeah. She kisses a man and here comes Ronnie. Like, come on.
That's so true. That's so true.
And the chemistry between them. Holy moly.
I know.
Well, she has chemistry with everybody, but.
Right.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, that watching them work together. I think it might have been the first scene that they shot together. And I was like, oh my Lord. Okay. And it almost made me want to see it work.
I know.
Me too. Yep.
I know.
Like when she was like, okay, get back to the motel. I was like, no, girl, take it back into the room.
I know.
No, I was happy that she did that, because when I saw him in the house, I was like, I sure hope he's not staying there. Like, what?
Yeah. You're like,
I was happy she didn't kiss him. Yes. Yes. I'm excited to hear more of their story and like what happened.
Me too.
That's going to be juicy.
Yes. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. You guys gave us so much in the last episode. Our heads are kind of spinning. So since we have you here, what are you, I mean, we've alluded to some of the stuff that you want to see in episode 2, but let's just talk, you know, if you want to wrap up your overall experience and then what you're expecting or hoping for in season 2.
Oh, I mean, obviously the overall experience was remarkable. And I think that it was one of my most favorite characters that I've ever played, because I felt like I just connected to her in so many ways. And I felt like it was so beautifully written. And someone actually, when the show premiered, they called me, some producer that I'd worked with before, and he was like, this show is so special because it has such a strong point of view and it's relentless. And like the fact that this is like, there's no apologies. There is no beating around the bush. Like it has a strong point of view, and it's so pure in that way. And I think it's so special that like, we're really just diving into these characters, and they're so layered, and it's not like a beginning and an end. See episode 1 to episode 10. It's really about, this is where they are in this moment. It's like so much more well thought out than we could ever really imagine. So I think for season 2, you know, I
really want to know for Maddie, I want her to have that moment. I think that she's blown up something really great with Cal. And I want her to have that moment. I think that she always kind of needed, which was the dust is settling. I'm not grieving in the same way. My instincts were telling me that I was maybe moving a little bit too fast, but I was like, how can I not? This guy's so amazing. And I really am in love with this person. But what I'm left with this, like, I don't trust in any of it anymore. And I think that I'd like to see that journey and that honest sort of, moment for her to figure it out and to kind of let the dust settle a little bit. And I'm anxious to see. I mean, I want to know where all the storylines go. I want to know who's Isaac's parents. I want to know who's in the car. I want to know what happens between Helen and Eric. And when are we gonna see Ty and Annie really make out? Like,
yes! That's what I'm wondering. Cheryl Anderson.
Cheryl Anderson. Oh my gosh, I love that. You have all the questions that we have. And, before we get out of here, panel, did you have any more questions for Jo while we have her here?
Jo, what are you working on next? What's next for you?
Trying to get out of quarantine.
Amazing. Me too. Get a tech guy after quarantine.
This is surreal. I've been working on the Happy Place, which is the design destination and lifestyle destination that I've been working on for the past couple of years, and we're writing a book right now. And honestly, we finished shooting in October, and it's been a crazy year. And so I went back to working on the Happy Place, hoping that we would have a season 2. And my hope is still that we'll have a season 2. And by the time we kind of figure out a way to safely go back to work, we'll have that opportunity to do that. And I have a couple other creative projects that I've been working on that I'm really excited about. I can't wait to share that, especially one that's a little bit closer to fruition than the next. And so those are things that I'm just kind of trying to stay creative. But honestly, I'm so invested in this show and so invested in seeing this world continue to be unveiled. And I just really hope that with the success and the ability to be able to go back to work, that we're going to get a chance to continue to tell the story.
Oh, me too. And you're hosting a WAG after show with me and Brian.
Yeah,
I can't wait. We will definitely be having a lot more than water in our sippy cups.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited for you.
You guys are unbelievable. Just the way that you connected to the show and getting the opportunity to talk about it with people that are feeling that way about it. It just means so much to me. I said this in the beginning, you guys made it feel so real because we have been living with this for so long. And so it's just, I cannot thank you enough. It's been such a treat. So this has been, I'm hoping that people who are listening are enjoying this, but if for nothing else, this has been an absolute blast for me.
We're so happy.
Thank you.
We are so glad to hear that. No, you are. No,
you are, seriously.
And you guys, hey, second season, I'm going to get a Wi-Fi booster. Things are
yeah. Well, no, hopefully by then you can come visit us in LA and we can talk about this all in our studio.
In the studio.
That would be a dream.
Love nothing more. Let's do it.
Our own margarita night in the studio.
That'd be so amazing.
Yes.
That would be so great. Yes, we could pour it out together. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know you had to enjoy this conversation. I mean, come on. We're just being able to dive deep. I'm kind of sad that we're ending
totally
here.
Sad.
I'm very used to talking these stories and I love it. And, we're going to all continue the conversation online, you guys. So I hope you're following us. I hope you're following Sweet Magnolias and, comment, share, and really uncover whatever it is you can from these storylines and plots because it's out here growing people and evolving their lives. So thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for coming. And so thank you guys for watching the season finale after show. We will see you guys next season. I'm your host, Jamie Alexander, and you can find me on Instagram at Jamie Alexander, which is JAIMI. Tammy, we have Tammy on Twitter Tami Govea, Govea. Instagram and Twitter, Kels Meyer #2. And of course, on all of the things social, the Bryant Santos. All right, you guys. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next season.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.